people are confused. Should we use cast iron? Should we use clay? A lot of us have tried moving back to mud pots. So what exactly should we be doing in order to maintain, our cookware at home?
If I'm looking at what cookware should I use it, few criterias I would take care of. Basically, cookwares, when we talk about cookwares, there are cookwares which are made up of metals like copper, gold, silver, iron. These metals, they leach out into the food that we use, that we are cooking in. So, see, if I'm talking about iron, my body definitely needs iron. I would prefer cooking in iron cookwares. But when it comes to iron, the only issue that we face is that it gets rusted easily. So if you season your iron, that is apply a layer of oil after washing it thoroughly. So mix little bit of oil, little bit of water and just rinse it through your ironwares and keep it as is. These are the best cookwares which you can use for cooking your vegetables, cooking your curries. For that matter, most of the Indian household makes rotis, and we prefer iron skillets over other skillets. Like we get non-stick skillets as well, we get aluminum skillets as well. Some amount of iron leaches out into the food, and that will help improve our immunity, because most of the Indians that I have come across are anemic. They have low iron levels. So I would prefer using cast iron. Second cookware that I would prefer is stainless steel. Heavy stainless steel. Why? Because stainless steel is inert material. It is a mixture of copper, iron, nickel, zinc, cobalt. So it's an alloy. Alloy is a mixture of different metals. And when you cook it in steel cookwares, what happens is there is no leaching out of anything from steel to the food. So it is not going to interact with food, and hence safe to be used steel cookwares. Glass is something, again, I prefer, like iron. Steel, glass is also inert. So it is the best material which you can use for baking. We wouldn't want aluminum because, like Luke said, aluminum leaches out into the food. And aluminum, what happens is it damages our nerves, it damages our brain function, leading to Alzheimer's and various other issues. It also impacts our gut, for that matter. Hence, we would never coming to copper. Now, according to Ayurveda, copper is another material which leaches out into our food. But it is also antibacterial. It helps boosting our iron levels. But excess of copper, like, we get copper in the food that we eat. We get it in the green leafy vegetables. So excess of copper, if you have it in your body, there is something called as copper deposition. It can take place in any area of your body, liver, brain, etc. Excess of copper can have, we wouldn't want so much or excess of copper in our body. So you can either use it for eating your food. So your plates, your thalis, your bowls can be made up of copper, or you drink 1 glass of water from the copper vessel, overnight soaked water, and that's more than enough when it comes to copper. Then we get stonewares and we get earthenwares. Coming to earthenwares, though, two difficulties or two challenges that we face is, one is that they get broken easily, right? And another thing is, if you don't clean it, we cannot clean earthenwares with detergents. Okay, so if we don't clean it properly, there are fair chances, and if you don't dry it properly, there are fair chances that fungus grows into it, again making it useless for us. So of course, if I want to prepare some curries, I would prefer earthenware. We do use earthen skillets as well for making rotis, for making rotlas, but that is like, once in a while we use it so that we save it and we do not damage it per se. So earthenware, if you say where should I use earthenwares, then I would say use a earthen pot to store your water, or drink your water in earthen glasses. We do get those glasses, or we do get earthen bottles. So we can drink water in that. I would prefer. Now, materials that we wouldn't prefer. Why? First is non-stick or Teflon wares, or plastic or BPA, aluminum. These are three materials we wouldn't prefer in cooking at all. Why? I'll start with plastic and non-stick. So non-stick generally has a Teflon coating over it. And that Teflon looks, it is similar to something called as plastic. Both of them have similar properties. And they also, like when you cook food in non-stick wares, at a very high temperature, Teflon gets leached out into our food. That is why after some time, if you notice your non-stick where the outer covering gets lost, and then that non-stick is of no use. So we should avoid non-stick, we should avoid Teflon, we should avoid plastic. Why? Because when these polymers of plastic enters our body, they mimic hormones. They mimic like hormones. They modulate with our genes. They play with our DNA, resulting into hormonal imbalance, resulting into gut issues. That when plastic enters our gut, it mimics something called as testosterone, male hormone. So on a regular basis, if you're using plastic wares, if you're drinking water from plastic bottles, or if you're using it in microwaving, what happens is that plastic will mimic testosterone, resulting into hormonal balance firstly, and it will also lead to, in severe and grave cases, prostate cancer. One of the reasons why the number of cases of cancer has been increasing is plastic. So when you store your when you store your grains in plastic, or when you uh, use plastic for heating, like we put it in microwave because it's safe. This is what happens. Nowadays, they say that plastic, this is BPA free plastic. Okay. End of the day, only BPA is not present in plastic, but plastic is there. So polyethylene or the polymers of plastic are going to enter our body, and they are still going to have that effect. Plus, what happens is plastics, they are joined by something called as plasticizer or a glue. And that plasticizer leaches out like anything on a regular basis, resulting into more havoc. So plastic is a big, big, big no forever. Same thing for Teflon because it behaves like plastic. Third is aluminum, which we wouldn't prefer at all. All can be used. So I can also use something called as brass for cooking. Okay, brass is nothing but an alloy or a mixture of copper and zinc. So when I talk about copper and zinc, our body requires copper and zinc in small amount, and this combination per se is very, very good for our gut. But as per Ayurveda, again, we cannot use excess of copper and zinc because it will interfere, and it may disbalance our doshas, which is kapha and vita. So we should avoid it. But eating in brass cookwares is something that I would definitely look at. I mean, this is what our ancestors did.